Hey, everybody, it's Holly again, Holly Broughton from the podcast, Sane-ish. And we are back with our last episode with Jaibez. And this last episode, which I'm sure she's probably grateful for, but I am very grateful that she has been willing to do this series with us, um, because it's a very important. All of this really is very important, and like we've been talking about, she and I have a lot of parallels, and a lot of things that we're very passionate about. But this particular episode is about that we're going to talk about is about breaking down the stigmas about addiction, alcoholism, mental health, um, incarceration, all of these things that keep us, you know, in these stereotypical boxes because, you know, people make certain assumptions. And I know since I've been in recovery, there are a lot of people who have completely turned their lives around just because they have worked very, very hard at changing their behaviors, and getting sober, regardless of whatever path they have taken in order to do that, because there are many paths to take to get sober and for their mental health too. Um, so whether it's holistic or medical or spiritual, whatever path they take, you know, um, it could be anything. But I have seen people make complete 180s and change their lives and turn their lives completely around. And so breaking the stigma of these types of things is a huge personal goal for me, and I believe it is for her too as well. So we're going to talk about that today. So welcome back, Jaibez, and thank you, and thank you for this third episode. And how you doing? I know you've been trying to kick this cold, so I appreciate you
Yeah,
joining us on this last episode.
for sure. I'm doing great. I am under the weather. I've been in bed since Thursday night trying to self-care it and break the stigma off of taking care of self, right? Self-care
Yeah.
it. So, yeah, but other than that, it's good to be with y'all. Again, my name is Jaibez Regalado. I am excited to be here on the third podcast of Sane-ish.
Yeah. So now I know you do a lot of uh, s- stuff as far as trying to break the stigma, because um, which we will put to you know in the episodes, like your links and stuff to your business, uh, recovery self discovery, because you post a lot of community information, and that is a way that we break down the stigma. There are also, and because I am in Austin, which is the capital of Texas, uh, there is a lot of advocacy here too, which is also a lot of, and which I've been involved in here, a lot of what I do as far as breaking the stigma of alcoholism addiction. I wasn't able to do that for NAMI this go round, but I am interested in doing that for NAMI. But I am involved in their virtual meetings that they do here. But what else do you do as far as working to break down the stigma? Do you have anything that you do with that? I mean, I know you do peer support too, but
I mean, the first thing that pops to my head is just like personally, um, every day I'm doing my best to break the stigma. I'm part of the LGBT community. I have a wife. I'm tattooed, pierced up. I have short hair. Um, I feel like I've been breaking the stigma ever since I was old enough to know that I was breaking stigma. Like I said, the first thing that pops to mind is personally, I was actually talking about that today is, being bold and a lot of times being the only one that looks like me in the room when I'm sitting in the courts and I'm sitting in, important meetings and, advocating at the Capitol or talking to senators or, talking to other CEOs, etc. So, uh, I think I feel that I've been judged a lot by my appearance. I feel like I've been judged a lot, breaking the stigma from my family. I'm constantly breaking stigma off of fighting back towards my family that I'm not like my dad. I'm not like just not going to amount to anything. I think I've been feeling like I've been breaking stigma ever since I was born. Shit. And knew better, right? I knew right and wrong. And I knew that I wanted to make a difference and change. And there was something different within me. So, I mean, I didn't have a word for it then. Um, and then and then business wise, I feel that professionally wise, I feel like the personal and the business part kind of fall into each other because I have had to advocate and talk to judges and go in there pierced up, tattooed, short hair, of course dressed up and dressed professionally and all that. I feel like I had to change and also use wisdom too, right? Like
yeah.
use wisdom. I couldn't go in there looking all hood and already my tattooed pierced up and all that, but I needed to make sure that I didn't that I dressed and I spoke accordingly and I always say if I can't beat them I'm gonna join them, but I didn't really join them. I could be part of but not of, and so I think I'm constantly being mindful of breaking the stigma in general. I walk into the rooms, I think breaking the stigma off of my wife's family, right there, breaking the stigma off of walking into the children's school. They're looking at me like I'm gonna be a problem child, and go in there being all ghetto and stuff, and of course that's part of me. I've been there, but um I think it's at the forefront of my mind all the time, Holly, of trying to make sure that I don't fall into what they're already looking at me as, and I can't change everybody's thoughts and or whatever, but I think it's an everyday thing. Just like I always say, like I didn't just come out the closet once. I'm constantly coming out the closet, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I appreciate, you know what, I appreciate you saying that because I didn't mention that, and that's a good point. I didn't mention the LGBT community, but that's a good point as far as breaking the stigma there too, because you know it's it's a good point that you can still however you are, you can still be tattooed, pierced up, whatever, but you can also still show respect. That's the point. You can still be respectful, and you know you can still do all of that
Yeah,
and still be yourself.
for sure.
Is I guess my point.
That
Uh,
part.
uh, it doesn't have to be all you know, hood and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you can still be yourself, but it's just a matter of us respecting each other.
Yep.
So yeah. So there's also the LGBT community too, as far as breaking stigmas
Yeah.
in that too.
And
Uh,
I'm constantly breaking stigma out of that because yes, I love my community. I have a business that's geared towards the LGBT community, etc. But I'm not really part of th- that population either. I'm just kind of like my own because I don't want to be known as a person that is partying and,
yeah, yeah,
promiscuous. And, I'm not saying everybody's known as that, but I am dominant presenting, and I've constantly heard stigma. Oh, I bet you do this and do that, and I'm like, no, like I broke out the boxes of what the LGBT community also has as well, and I'm like, I don't like the labels. Like I've learned to just say, hey, I'm just me. I'm proud to be me. So I feel like I've been breaking stigmas all over the place, like even with my own community, my family, my wife's family, employers. I mean, I think holistically when I think about it, like when I go to retreats, I'm the only one that looks like me. So I'm breaking the stigma. They're looking at me like they're all scared and stuff. And I'm like, hey, I'm one of y'all. I love
yeah,
to hug trees, I
yeah,
love nature. I love ground. So I feel like when I hear stigma, I think it's just really consumed my life. And that's one of the things I'm always talking about is like breaking the stigma, showing people that you're just not like that. And I've had a lot of people also, a lot of employers, supervisors, come to me literally crying and say, I'm so sorry that I judged you, that I thought that you were going to rob me, that you if was scared of you, etc. Especially breaking the stigma of being loving Jesus and being gay, right? So
hmm
being part of that community. And so, and they would look at me and like, I'm so sorry I judged you. And I said, I know you did. I said, but, at the end of the day, it's not about me anymore. And so they would be like, I feel like God used you to help change what was going on within me. So early on, I had recognized that it's not about me anymore. Like I'm just a shell, I'm just a vessel, I'm just a tool of the hands, the legs, the feet, the mouthpiece, and recognizing that it's not about me. So I gotta go where there's darkness and be light, be the salt of the world. So and break the stigma.
yeah. And another thing is too that when you are in recovery, if you're open, if you're open minded, what I've found is you learn a lot about people, a lot about cultures, a lot of interesting things. I've always, and this is just me, but I've always been open to Native American Indian spiritual things, and but I mean, and not just that, but there's, you know, because of the program that I work, um, it's not religious, but it's spiritual. So I'm open to any type of
Yeah.
spiritual stuff. And if you're open, you can learn a lot from different cultures.
Yeah.
And so, you know, um, and you meet a lot of different people in the program in recovery,
Mhm.
and it's amazing. Um, so, and when you do that, you continue to break the stigma because you're being open, and then you continue to break down that fear.
Mhm.
And that's what I wish people would understand.
Yeah.
Do
One of
you,
the
do do you understand? Does that make any sense? I'm pretty sure it makes sense to you. I don't know if it makes sense to anybody who's watching.
Yeah.
Um,
I
but
think one of the things that pops out when I was hearing you say that is what I'm very transparent about is my own biases and my own stigmas that I have on people too. I think I come with it, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I was raised the way I was raised, and I have to be mindful of my own. To me, biases and stigmas kind of are in the same category for me. Uh,
Hmm.
and so, like, I'm very transparent about some of the things that I'm in recovery from. My own stigmas that, for example, when I was like, oh, you're Chinese, you must be smart, right? Uh,
Oh, yeah.
so,
Hmm.
you know, things like that, right? This dumb things like that for me that I've recognized that I've carried on, and understanding my own biases, and recognizing when I heard you say culture, like I have to be aware and have my shortcomings in front of me, because I do know, and I think those are going to be things that I'm always going to battle with, because that's how I was raised, or that's what was going on in my family, and that's what some of the things that I'm in recovery from is my
Yeah.
own stigmas and biases and racisms and homophobias, and I mean just all that, because I mean it was there,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I think it's there for all of us. I think we all, obviously have our own biases, but it doesn't mean that we can't learn. We can't readjust those biases as long as we're open to them. You know.
Also, I would say for me, I'm learning not to be ashamed of them. Um, and I think for me, I had to learn to say it out loud, like especially when I'm training or I'm teaching. I'm like, hey, I want y'all to know as your trainer, like these are my challenges, right? I have these biases, I have these shortcomings, I have these areas of growth. I guess I like to say, my own stigmas on certain populations or whatever, right? So I think I've learned to just wear them as a badge of honor and not be ashamed of them, but also recognize that it is part of my recovery and self discovery, is that I'm learning to heal from that as well, because that wasn't my voice that taught me that. It was my grandparents, my dad, my mom's. It was everybody who was around me that was unwell, and they
Mm.
didn't know it, and they probably learned it from who they learned it from, and so I'm learning the unlearning, right?
Well, uh, I'm kind of jumping, but let me ask you something because we kind of touched on it the last episode, but we were talking about treatment centers, and this may kind of be taboo, but uh, I kind of um, have dealt with people who run treatment centers, and this is not necessarily the grant run treatment centers, but more so the private run treatment centers. But I tend to have kind of issues with people that run them, and it's not necessarily um, the fact that they're not intelligent. I think they're intelligent. I mean, they're way more intelligent than I am, for sure. But I I don't think that they have any kind of um, knowledge, it seems, about addiction, alcoholism and addiction. And it seems like a lot of their decisions are not made. Uh, it seems like a lot of their decisions are made based on money and ego. And so, having said that, the the treatment center that I went to, and this was a long time ago, that's what happened, and they closed. And so I find it very disheartening that, you know, and I've seen it happen over and over again where, you know, treatment centers are run strictly on either people not understanding addiction, alcoholism and addiction, or it's about money and investment, or it's about ego. And that really frustrates me because the bottom line then isn't the patient, it's money. And then, so that ultimately doesn't help the patient and it doesn't help ending the stigma. Do you see where I'm going?
Oh yeah.
Does
Yeah.
that, do you see, and I know that you kind of touched on that in the last episode about, you just briefly mentioned it, that you had said something about that. And so I kind of wanted to talk about that because I knew what you were saying when you had mentioned that, because it frustrates me too.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely, that's something I've been wanting to talk about too on My Eyes, My Truth. Um, is I'm not here to bash anything. I'm just here to
No, 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 no. I'm not, but
my my eyes, my truth, and being able to I've been around and I've worked in a lot of facilities. I feel like it's more common than not to see facilities. Like right now, I'm at a facility and I'm leaving it. Um, Thursday's my last day, and it's all about money. It's a recycling. Um, the stigma there is very unwell, and also one of the things, side note, one of the other ways that I am big about fighting stigma is language. Language is very key to making sure I'm not going into the illness language, and making sure that I'm treating people as people, and not like dollar signs and stuff.
mhm,
So, but with that, going back to what you were saying, yeah, I'm really big about that. I've worked at a lot of facilities, and I think that's why I'm in a midst of creating my own. I remember, during COVID and when all my stuff started, I was like, you know what? I can't change them. I really can. I can't change them. What can I do? It goes back to the Serenity Prayer, right? Focus on the
mhm,
things you can change, not the things you can't. And so I was like, what I can do is change what I can change, right?
mhm,
Now, recovery and self-discovery and the recovery plug are very slow up and moving and going purposely, right? On purpose for purpose. Because I don't want to get to a place where it's about the money. Granted, I feel like, yes, like duh, no shit, we need money, right? I get it. To run to make money, you gotta have money, right? I get it. However, I never want to gang the world and lose my soul. I never
mhm,
want to tie ins with unhealthy people. And I never want to be one of those CEOs that is just looking at people to recycle them into the system. Right now, this is what we have going on at the current facility that I am at. It's just unwell. And they're constantly having people just come in. And it's been around too. Even the participants, the peers know that they're like, hey, if you need to come back, go relapse real quick, they'll let you back in. And these have been people that have been admitted probably in the last 2 months, 3 months, like 4 or 5 times, and it's just like, what is going on? I know that it's happening in Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, it's happening everywhere, I feel, right? Uh,
mhm,
and I see it. And so it's disgusting when you get people like me, people like you, or people that are passionate about this field that's saying, yeah, I want to go in and I'm going to provide these peer services. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be this clinician. And they have this passion for it. And of course, I refuse to be one of those people that harden my heart towards the mission and the vision that the God of my understanding has given me. But I am so disgusted. Like I'm disgusted. We're not here to enable people. We're here to empower them. This is a deadly disease. This disease is out to kill you.
mhm,
Um, this is a pandemic in itself, and to sit there and co-sign on people's bullshit is not okay. Like, what services are we really providing?
Mhm.
So granted, I'm not here to work harder on anybody's recovery than they are, but I feel like it's a systemic failure, which is part of the systemic failure is the agency, right? The CEO, the leadership, the billing department. I mean, it's unethical. So I'm seeing a lot of that, and I can go on and on and on about that, but it just disgusts me. And so that's why, I have to take breaks here and there from the field because I'm woke. I see it. I think I look at things in a 360 point of view, and I see what's going on. I'm not just, oh yeah, oblivious. Like, I know what's happening. And leadership is all about numbers. I mean, granted, data doesn't lie. I get it. We need numbers. But at the end of the day, we got to think about, are we just really killing these people? Or are we supporting them? You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. And that's what frustrates me is because for me, I'm very grateful. I'm grateful that I had the realization that, sorry, my cats, cats. Uh, I had the realization that, I wake up with this disease every day and I have to work on it every day. Now, there are people out there who haven't understood that yet, you know, and until they understand that and know what the solution is, what their solution is, whatever that solution to them is, you know, until they find that solution, you know, they they need to have a safe haven, but not to come in and out of, in and out of, in and out of.
Yeah, this is
Need
not a
it like,
shelter. This is a facility to get well. This is a treatment facility. If you need
right,
a shelter, go to a shelter.
right.
And don't use grant funding or funding that could be used towards people who really are needing this. Like, and this is another thing that I see is these agencies getting funding, and these are some chronic agencies that continue to get the same funding from these grants or from these providers because they know someone that knows someone, or that person is rubbing elbows with the other person, and is again who the devil who right. And
Mm-hmm,
at the end of the day, like I said, I'm not here. This is just my truth. This is what I've seen. This is the truth as well. Uh,
mm-hmm,
and so this is what I've seen is just these people getting grants, right? And they're funneling these grants, this money towards something else. Now, when you do the audits and all that, it looks like they're doing great work. They're utilizing the money for what it is, but honestly, it's not. It's going into somebody else's pocket. Like, it's a whole pyramid scheme. You know what I'm saying? It's really effed up, and it disgusts me, and that's why I have stepped away from a lot of agencies and people that I thought I respected, and that's why I'm just kind of at a distance and kind of working in a small circle, and allowing God to send me the people that He knows their hearts better than me, because I refuse, Holly, and like I said, these fundings, this money, this there's money out there, and people want to give away their money, right? But the services are not really being provided. They're not hiring quality care people. They're hiring a lot of sick people to do this work. Sick people that are saying, "Yeah, I'll check the boxes. Yeah, I'll be unethical. Yeah, I'll do this. Okay, no problem." Because there's a lot of people pleasing and a lot of unwellness out there, and it's the staff too. They hire sick staff to continue in this sickness.
mm-hmm. Well, that's what I mean. I would rather, uh, eh, and I tell my sponsees this all the time. I would rather say no and have my integrity than to say yes and have a check. you know so I mean, it's a very difficult situation to be in, the recovery field, um, because it's just a different little universe in itself. But I don't know. I wish I could snap my fingers and fix it, but um, you know, that's I guess that's just a part of recovery. It's just
And I
something.
think, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, no, no. Go ahead.
I think it falls into the stigma, going back to the original question about stigma too. Like, this is why I hear a lot of, and of course, it's not, people have a mind for their own, but oh, treatment doesn't work, or oh, this service doesn't work, like nothing works, blah, blah, blah. I mean, of course, it only works if you work it. Um, but I think this is a never-ending cycle of insanity. I think uh, the agency, the agencies could be part of this insanity.
Right.
And especially, here's the other thing, what I see like at my agency that I'm at right now is they're bringing in people that are not even a fit for this. And I'm like, what is it going to take? Is it going to take somebody getting killed, somebody like dying on site, somebody getting stabbed, like an employer getting stabbed, a participant, a peer, hanging themselves? Like, they're bringing in mental health people that this is not a mental health facility. This is a treatment facility, for substance use. So it's a sick cycle, all because of numbers. We need numbers. We need numbers. They have this saying right now that it drives me up the wall, and it doesn't pertain to me, but that admissions right now is saying, oh, five clients a day keeps the CEO away. And I'm like, no. And I'm probably the only one out of that whole facility that's breaking in and saying, not with me. That doesn't apply with me. Like, I'm not co-signing on that. Like, you're not going to dictate how I do services for my participants, and five clients a day is not going to keep the CEO away from me. Like, she needs to be involved in this. Like, just so she can, feel glad about herself and check boxes and this and that, and please her leadership. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, that's a sick mentality. So now you're just bringing anybody in that isn't a fit for this. So when
Yeah.
does it stop? Like I said, it can go on and on, but it's pretty disgusting. It is. And there's a lot of good to it too. There's a lot of greatness in this as well, right? But it's a lot of unhealthiness um and a lot of greed, because this
Yeah.
is a addiction, mental health. It's not going away, right?
Yeah.
It's a money maker, of course,
Yeah.
you
But
know.
it also shows you too, if you're truly working whatever program that you're working in, if you're really truly working um, a, a, a true recovery program, and you are working towards honesty and integrity and all that kind of stuff, then you truly would be working towards the good of the patient and the good of your internal self, and not for all this other outside stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Which ultimately would be the good of everybody, not you know um, would be ultimately good for everybody. But that's that's in a perfect world, I guess. But
yeah. It's very sad. I always say people don't leave the agencies, they leave poor management,
yeah, right.
you know.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, and I think I feel that there's always going to be something in every agency,
Oh, sure.
no
Yeah.
matter what. Like, I get it, but when it's like really unobvious, like, it's yeah, it's really sad. It's a sad situation because like for people like us, like I said, I feel like uh, no matter, I've been in the field for years and years and years, and I still have this passion and this burn and this assignment that I'm here to do. So I thank God that my heart isn't calloused and, you know, becoming, I always say I refuse to blend in with them. So I'm not afraid to shake the tree, break the stigma. I'm not afraid to be the one who speaks up in the meetings and say, y'all don't see this shit? Like, hello, excuse me. Let me mention this. I'm not afraid to stand alone. I've stand alone in every situation that I've been in. Um, I'm not afraid to speak up for the voiceless. I will always speak up for the voiceless. I will always apologize and make sure, like, if these people aren't getting the services that they were promised and signed up for, I got to make sure that I'm intentional, strategic with providing that. I don't care what the other people are doing, but when they're interacting with me, I got to make sure that I'm going above and beyond. And uh, for especially for those that are there, it's your time. Time is precious. So making sure that I don't blend in, that's my main thing. Like, I don't want to be like them. I don't. And I remember crying to a supervisor literally, and she's like, we're having a conversation, and she's like, well, what do you want? What do you see yourself? And I said, I just busted out crying. I said, I don't want to be like them. I don't want to be like them. I don't want to be like them, whoever them is, them blank, 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 whoever them is the robbers, the stealers, the ones that are, you know, people know if whoever's listening, if the shoe fits, wear it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know who you are. I mean, you got to sleep at night. I don't want to be like that. I just,
Yeah.
I,
Yeah. I don't either really. I
yeah, I
want
refuse.
to, I just want to be, I want to be as close to uh, a person of integrity as I possibly can. I don't know how close that is, but as close as I possibly can. I want people to rely on me as best as they can.
Uh,
You
My
know.
name is so important. I've worked hard on building my name. It holds weight, integrity. But one of the things I always say, the money's gonna come. I know one day, yes, R&R is, up and moving slowly on purpose for a purpose. We could be up and going and launched and all this, like boom, building and everything. But honestly, Holly, like I know it's gonna come, and I know that God is gonna send the right people that can see it and say, you know what, I trust Jabez with this money, and I know it's gonna go to where it needs to go. Like I don't have to think about it. Right, here you go. I want to bless you with boom, 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 because God is a God of suddenly, and right now. And so that's what I do know. I know if I continue acting in accordance and with integrity, not acting, but actually, being right and acting in a spirit of excellence and all that, I know it's going to come, right? So all the people that I'm seeing that is getting blessed left and right, and getting these grants and getting all this money and getting all this millions or thousands or whatever the case may be, that I know that are unwell, it's okay. I sit there and I pray for them, and I'm like, Lord, it's okay, because I know the first finish last and the last finish first. I know that.
Mhm.
And it's showing me everything that I'm sharpening my tools, and I'm recognizing, and God has given me in this purification to see, because I refuse to do it. I refuse. I would rather drive a Pinto than drive a BMW or whatever, Alexis or whatever. I'm not hating on it, and I want to be able to pay my staff accordingly like they deserve. You know,
Yeah.
I'd rather
Yeah.
live in an apartment than have this big ass house that, is too big for me. Then and then funnel that into, a program or something. That's just
Yeah.
that's just I just know it's gonna come. I know when it comes, it's gonna come, and whatever the Lord's doing, I know it's gonna be a suddenly movement. I just know He's gonna bring me a grant writer that wants nothing in return. He's gonna bring me a person that says, "Boom, hey, this is what you've been needing. I'm great at this. Boom, let's do it." with no catches too. I just know it.
Yeah. I feel the same way because I'm not all about big houses, and I mean I see things. I, listen, big houses mean big cleaning, and I mean I clean, but I'm not about big cleaning of houses. I don't like cleaning houses, big houses. I'll clean, but I'll clean little houses is what I'll clean.
Yeah,
I don't want to clean a big house.
yeah,
So, but yeah, but yeah, I get that feeling too. I think that, the more you focus on a good, a good path, and just focus on that and putting one foot in front of the other and helping people and doing the next right thing, then things usually fall into place the way
that's
they're supposed to, the
yeah,
way, God or your higher power lays it out,
yeah,
then everything else falls into place.
all
And
the
I'm
time.
not really one about money either.
Yeah,
It usually just comes the way it's supposed to come.
yeah. What's for me is for me. I was telling him today and group, I was like, what's for me is for me. I don't want what's for Holly. I don't want what's for John. I want what's for me. Like, but if you don't want it, I'll take it. Like, I'll be like, hey, Lord, if they're not going to do nothing with it, I'll do it, you know? But I generally don't. I don't want to take from you what's for you. And, I don't want to take your manna because it's just going to rot. I,
Yeah.
I just want what's for me. And I know there's abundance of things that's for me, and I haven't even begin to scrape what's for me just yet. But I refuse
Yeah.
to lose my soul, in the midst of it. I want to sleep at night. That's all I gotta say. It's like I want to be able to sleep at night, and it's bad enough I have trouble with my fibromyalgia, but my conscience. I want a clean conscience.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. So, what are your plan? I mean, I know we touched on it before, but what are your plans for the future?
Regarding what? Because I got a lot.
Just, well, just for recovery, self discovery. Well, we know what we know you're going back to school. Um, just, you know, um, are you doing any advocacy or what are you, all of that stuff?
Well, in a nutshell, I have a lot of plans. Of course, when I plan, God laughs, right? But I'm entertaining these
Right.
plans. So I said humbly and respectfully that my short-term plan is continue building what I need to, cleaning up a lot of, learning, being self-taught, on how to build this business accordingly, being allowing myself to be exposed to people, places, and things that are going to benefit me, for the greater future. Um, Continue working on me, always being a better me, so I could be a better leader shifter, and a provider and, a CEO, right? And a
Mm.
good steward of my money and all that. I will be going back to school. And my long-term goal with that is to be a doctor, in my field, which is social work field, to get my doctorate. Even if it takes me years and years, I'm still going to do it. I see it. I know it. Continue to be the first generation to break and reverse a lot of the curses off my family, to continue breaking stigma, advocacy. I really have deep in my soul, my spirit. I don't know what it is, but I really feel that I'm meant to run for something in the community. Um, I really want to be. I I like I like the lobbyist part, but I really feel like I'm here. I feel like I'm meant to, um, fight for change. Um, I know there's a lot of different kind of change out there. There's a lot of counseling, councilwoman, right? There's, being this, being commissioner and all that. Like, I don't really feel led to that, but I feel like I need to be shaking some trees, using his voice, being the Moses that goes stuttering and shaking, but setting my people free, breaking a lot of the stigma. So I don't know, Holly. I really feel that I'm meant to run for something. I just am waiting to see what. um, and then continuing, like I said, building my podcast, my eyes, my truth. Also, I have a desire. I know I'm supposed to write a book or books, so I know that is something that I'll be doing as well. But constantly breaking the stigma, constantly advocating, being a voice. But first and foremost, I need to learn balance. I need to learn balance because sometimes I can get myself in mess because I'm just like, I speak up, I utilize my voice. And so I'm trying to learn this balance on when to just kind of be quiet and let things be, and not be like, y'all don't see this shit. Like, come on. Like, how do I, like trying to tame that. But
Yeah.
then I ask, is it really meant to be tamed? You know? So
Yeah. I
um
get that.
I love Mother Teresa. When she spoke, the room listened, and she was about God's mission, and she fought. I love Zig Ziglar. I love the Martin Luther Kings. Like, I identify so much with these people who moved and stood their ground, 10 toes firm, and didn't budge. So I think in a nutshell is continue to be a leader shifter, a change maker, change agent, be a role model for my nieces and my nephews, be the best wife that I can be. And that is hard. I don't know how to be a wife. I've never been modeled that, right? So, um, so I think just growing and sharpening my tools and being everything God has created me to be. Because one of the things that I always say when I take my last breath and I close my eyes for the last time, and I know um that is when I have completed my mission and my assignment here. Because I feel that I'm on assignment, and I feel that I'm supposed to I'm just passing through, just
Mhm.
passing through. So continue being intentional or strategic. And I know that God has placed it in my heart, I feel, to be a chaplain as well. So I just feel like led to just be the messenger, right? And pass through.
Mhm.
But yeah, be great at what I'm great at, and be better than the best as much as I can for me. And to be honest, authentic, and have integrity, and be a kingdom woman, and be a Viking and a warrior.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's
Well, that's cool. Well,
plan.
you've got a lot on your plate.
Yeah,
So I mean, you better get better first. You
exactly.
better get over this cold first,
You're real.
so you can run for office.
Amen.
So, so is there any? Do you have anything that you want to close with before
Um, I
before
would
we close?
I would say I would want to leave with y'all to be everything that you needed when you were in those situations, or in those positions. Never forget where you come from, and live life on purpose for a purpose. Life is short, and I'm still learning that. Um, but know your assignment, and once you know your assignment, like, there's no moving in it. Even in the hard days and in the dark days, like, assignment's always going to make you jump out of bed, make you crawl out of bed. Assignment, right? So even with pain and agony and sadness, or whatever the case may be, we have choices and options. So um, stick out, right? Don't minimize yourself, and heal, reveal, to deal, right? Feel all that, and just go after it. Like, just do it. Just apply for the job. Just go and show up. And if God has brought you to that door, that's the door you're supposed to walk in, and that's the room you're supposed to be in. And also, I guess lastly, if you're the smartest one in the room, then you're in the wrong room. Challenge yourselves. and continue being that change agent and that role model, being everything that you needed in those positions, in those
Mm,
situations. But that's what I got. And thank you for hearing it. Thank you for your time. And I always say I'm after the one, not the 99, because I was that one.
that's
You know?
right. That's right. And look how far you've come.
Amen. Yeah.
Really. Listen, I've got some closing questions for you that I ask all my guests. I mean, you're the first one, but I so I want to ask you these questions before you leave. I want to see what your answers are. Do you mind if I ask you?
For sure. Go ahead.
Okay, I've got 10 of them, so buckle up.
All right.
Okay, so here's the first one. What skill would you like to ultimately master and why?
Shoot. I would say the skill of leadership. Um, I think that leadership is important because I think just always master being a leader shifter, not a manager, not a supervisor, not a boss, but a leader. And why? Because I think a great leader can move mountains. A great leader is able to um, lead nations, you know? So
Yep.
I think and then it's not, I think a great leader will not only touch that one, but that great leader will touch millions, you know?
Yeah, that's a great answer. A good answer. All right. Next question. What has been the highlight of your life thus far and why?
I would say being an aunt, and of course being a wife. So those two things, like I am a proud aunt. Like I just love being an aunt. Now I'm not, I don't have a relationship with the other ones, the grown-up ones, not by choice, but that's a whole another podcast in itself. But um, being an aunt and being a wife, I just love my wife. She's just amazing and she's just so great at it. And we don't even know nothing about marriage, but she's just so kind and so patient and has taught me and is healing me in ways that and I never would have thought I would have been married. So I would say that those are those those two pop out instantly.
Okay. Those are good answers too. All right. What risk have you not taken that you would still like to take and why haven't you?
I would say the risk of I don't know. I'm pretty risky. I would
Um,
say maybe skydiving.
Yikes.
Yeah, yeah. I that's a personal one. Skydiving. I'm afraid of heights and but it's just something that I really truly want to take off my to-do list. But I would also say going back to my wife is really just trusting that the risk of just letting myself just be free. Like she's not going nowhere, I'm not going nowhere. Like just truly being like this free in this marriage. I know that would be a blessing for both of us because like and not in survival mode, right? So
Right. Yeah.
that would be a risk of like, hey, you're living, not just surviving, and you're present, you know?
Yeah.
That's
I get that. I get that. Totally get that.
yeah.
Totally get that. All right. Next question. Do you have any nick or pet names?
I have a lot, I guess, throughout the years, shit. Um J Boo Licious, J Boo, J Bird, um, J Boo Delicious, you know, of course, you know, when my wife calls me Jay, I'm like, wait, I'm not Jay, I'm baby, you know, like I get so excited because it sounds so sexy coming from her. But I would say just, you know, those like Regalado, right? They used to call me that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was also a double trouble from, you know, being out there in the street and stuff. But yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, all right. Next one. What person living, dead, or a character do you most relate to and why?
I think I mentioned it earlier. There's a lot. I would say everybody in the Bible, but um, I would say like Mother Teresa. Um, I love her. I love her, just who she was, her integrity, and Zig Ziglar. Just because like they were who they were away from the camera. I felt like
Mhm.
they were very integral on their mission and their vision. They were clear about what they were clear about, and they got the job done. You know, they accomplished the assignment.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Who do you admire and why?
I admire my wife. She's just her my niece and nephews really pop in my head, but I really truly admire my wife. She's one of my favorite stories. Just thinking about it makes me want to cry. She's just so awesome. Like her story, her fight. She's just amazing, like how she has rebuilt herself. I feel like she's a definition of recovery and self-discovery, and I just see her just blossoming and just growing, and how she just brought herself out of addiction, hardcore IV user, hardcore domestic violence, and just survived so much. And just I could just see her, and I'm just like so proud of her. Like she's one of my favorite stories. I talk about her all day every day. I'm just like, man, even if she wasn't my wife, I think I would just like she would be somebody that I highly admire because she's just on it. She's on it. She loves the journey of healing. She's so brave doing it.
That's awesome. We'll have to have her on too.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to have her on as a guest too. Okay, so next question. What has been your biggest mistake or regret and why? Which ultimately really wouldn't be a mistake or regret because you would have learned from it. So, but anyway.
I would say one of the things that I find myself commonly saying is I regret a lot of the time that I wasted.
Yep.
Uh, Now, granted, what you just said is not a mistake, right? Is a learning and all that. But I would say the time that I can't get back, um, the time that I fought things that were great for me, uh,
Mhm.
the time I would say time because is holistic. I feel like I've robbed myself from the time that I had with people, my community mothers that passed on, that I could have been there and loved them and more intentionally. The time that I've wasted fighting against the marriage of just like like you don't love me, and just fighting against my own traumas and inner child, wasting time on that. I would say just time and my drug use and just fighting against the system, and just a lot of wasting time that wasn't promised to me, you know. I would say that that's something because it's just so holistic for me. But of course there's a reason for it, but just the time
Yeah.
time. Now I pray time doesn't waste me.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand that. Okay, so what is your favorite curse word?
Shit. Shit. Probably how to shit I guess. I like them all.
I do too.
I like them all, but I'll probably say shit because I think it's just so neutral. Like I think you could say shit in a meeting, shit in a group, shit to make connection. Like you ain't gotta drop the F bombs or anything. But if you say shit, people are just like, shit, I like her, you know? Like, oh, she's one of us, shit, you know? It kind of is just neutral, like shit.
All right then. Shit, it is. All right. All right. What is your okay? What is your ethnicity or heritage? And the reason I like to ask this is because in the recovery community, it kind of gives everybody an idea that, you know, addiction and alcoholism, there's no like it happens in every type of, you know, every type of ethnicity really. But I like to get an idea about everybody's.
Yeah. Well,
heritage and stuff.
I just did
If
that
you,
ancestry thing. So because I didn't know, I come from a whole nother family I never known. It's kind of
yeah.
did and stuff. But anyways, so of course Mexican, but I am indigenous. Gonna find
Okay.
out I'm indigenous and come to find out that the majority of it is indigenous and Spaniard and some what is it, Bass, and I have some little percentages, but I'm really rocking with this indigenous, Mexican thing and this Spaniard thing. Like, can't nobody tell me shit. Like, I'm going to powwows and I'm learning about. I love my indigenous part, and
I
yeah,
would too.
yes,
I would too. Because
hmm
I love Native American Indian stuff.
yes.
I love it.
I connect with it. So when I got it, I was like, oh, it makes so much sense. So Spaniard and indigenous.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. Okay, so next question. Actually, last question. Okay, what would you hope your higher power, God, universe, I guess in yours, God would say to you when you pass or you transition or you die? What would you hope He would say to you?
Get your crazy ass over here. You made it. Um, I would say, well done, my good and faithful servant. That is what I desire to ultimately hear. Well done, my good and faithful servant, and then have my little Lola just running around him, um, waiting for me with those open arms. So that's what I would that's what I desire ultimately to hear when I close my eyes last is well good, my good and faithful servant. Hard
Oh,
headed, hard headed, stubborn. We're ready. I guess heaven's ready for you now. Because woof.
well, I'm sure that's what He's going to say because you've done some awesome work so far.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, thank you so much, Jabez, for the past 3 episodes, and I so appreciate you saying yes and being my first guest and doing this series because you've done so much work for the community and you've done so much hard work on your recovery and I mean it's amazing and it's inspirational and I'm just so fortunate that I you know God put you in my path. So, and I'm very grateful for so many reasons.
Yeah,
So, thank you very much.
for sure.
I really appreciate it.
I feel honored. So yes, yes.
Same here. So, thank you so much,
Mm-hmm.
and I hope you feel better.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you,
So,
everyone.
and if you ever run for office, then you have my vote. So,
Nice. Good. You can be my first voter.
that's right.
Yeah.
So, anyway, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and we will see you next time.